we are back with the first episode of 2025. I have to get used to saying that.
Yeah, it's been difficult writing it and typing it the past day and a half.
Do you remember those years of your life, 20 and 25?
20 was a bit of a blur. 25, probably a little bit more because I was already a dad and married. But yeah, 20, college and all that kind of stuff. So I'll plead the fifth on that.
Plead the fifth on it. Not a problem. So, John, it's amazing to have you.
Thank you for having me.
It's funny, the first time I met you was at one of those cooking, what was it? It was like for the March of Dimes?
Oh, March of Dimes, yeah.
Yeah. You're cooking it up over there.
Yeah.
That was cool. I would always just enjoyed being able to give back in whatever way that I could.
Right.
I'm just being some idiot insurance salesman trying everybody's food at the time. And yeah, that was a fun event.
It was, yeah.
I miss those. Do they even do those anymore?
I think it's different now. I don't think it's, because that was coming out of the pandemic or right in the middle of the pandemic. So it was a little bit different. But I think it's now a bigger event where they get different restaurants together and they have, 200-300 people in there. And
dude, I think it was just coming into the pandemic.
Was it going into?
Yeah, because you bought your place to what, 19?
2019, yeah.
Yeah, what a great time to buy.
Hey, I'll tell you what though, I wouldn't change it for the world.
No, I know you wouldn't.
Right? Like it was the biggest and best learning curve that I could have asked for.
Yeah. So let's start kind of from the beginning or whatever. I just like to have a kind of informal conversation. And everybody, this is episode 148. I've been doing this 148 times.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty
crazy.
Most people stop at like 50, if not less.
Yeah.
Because they just get bored.
Really? I figured it would take 50 plus episodes just to get into the swing of things.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think for a lot of people it does. The thing is, podcasting is a long game. You know, not like a lot of people listen. Not a lot of people listen. You can utilize it to format, different types of media. So if you want to utilize it for LinkedIn or for Facebook or for Instagram, it just works.
Yep.
And I figure it's a good excuse, especially having a friend like you and unfortunately, I hadn't seen you really since I think Osborne's funeral.
Yeah,
a mutual friend of ours' funeral, which was last year.
I can't believe it's been
beginning
a
of
year
this year. It was the beginning of this year, or I'm sorry, the beginning of last year. Yeah, 2024.
Yeah.
That being said, time just goes by so fast. So I love having the podcast as a platform to be able to talk to people and have them come into the office and, all right, let's have a conversation. We'll just put it on film.
Yeah, I love it.
And it just kind of just keeps it there forever.
Perfect.
Okay, so you didn't always work in the restaurant business.
Technically, no, but I've been in the restaurant business since I was 16. So
you started at a cafe or something? Or?
No, so I started, my first job was at United Artists Theaters at the Pavilions.
Okay.
So going back there and working over the summer. And
the Pavilions.
Yeah, slinging some popcorn and
Mongolian barbecue over there.
Yeah, right there, yeah.
Dude,
and then there was a pizza place that we always went to on break. I forget what it was called, but we loved going there. So I went from there, and then I was at Ross for 2 months, and retail's not my thing.
Right. Yeah.
So just followed a friend over to Mimi's Cafe. Actually, that's where I started my restaurant endeavors.
Yeah.
With cummerbund and bow tie, and it was a lot of fun. So.
Did you find similarities or just really stark differences with retail and with hospitality?
It was very stark differences. Retail, it was a lot of just every day you had to clean up the toy aisle, and at Ross that was just a disaster.
I thought you were gonna say toilet.
No, thank goodness I didn't do that until the restaurant industry.
Yeah,
weird enough, right? Retail was not a lot of guest facing. I wasn't there long enough to be at the cashier. I was just in the department straightening up the racks and all that kind of stuff. And so that was super boring. And then we get to the restaurants. When I was at Mimi's Cafe, it was super busy back then, especially Saturday and Sunday mornings, right? That was the breakfast place to go.
Right.
And as a host, I was working the wait list. So it is just person after person after person after person. You're quoting wait times and dealing with angry guests and trying to get everything arranged and big parties in. And
there's no computers. There's no online reservations.
It was a piece of paper,
a
pen, and a highlighter. and that was it.
And when people back then, did they call in to make reservations?
I think
You had
they
to
could
mark it
call
down?
for like parties of 8 or more, but it was
Yeah.
only call aheads.
on their
That was it.
on their dial. What was it, like rotary phone or
rotary
whatever?
phone, yeah.
With the cord and
Yeah.
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 Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy to think that. And now I just saw something, I think it was like Eater posted things that are going to be in 2025, and reservation books was one of them. I'm like, there's no way we're going back to like manual reservation books.
Interesting.
Yeah. so-
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So, and then you did that at a young age, and then basically you said at 25 you had your first kid.
I was 23.
23.
Yeah, so I went from Mimi's Cafe, and then I got into college. I was working at Outback down by ASU
Oh, okay.
for a little bit, and then I got a job at a place called Seasons Rotisserie and Grill, which was kind of this upscale dining place. I think a friend got me in there.
Is
And
that the one by the Biltmore?
no, it was on Scottsdale and Shea, just south of Shea.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay.
Like right behind the California Pizza Kitchen.
Yeah.
And I started as a busser and then worked my way up to a terrible server, probably a worse bartender, and then, got into managing at that point. So I think I was like 19 when I started managing.
Oh wow.
So it was a bit of a trip, but it really, that's where I got into drinking wine and learning about the finer things of life.
The finer things of hospitality.
Yes,
Right? Yes. Did you feel like you had gotten the bug at that point?
I had the bug as a host
Yeah.
at Mimi's Cafe, which was weird to think, but just something about the energy of the restaurant.
You like people. You
Yeah.
have a good aura and
Yeah.
an energy
Oh, thank
about
you.
you.
Thank
yeah,
you.
no, seriously. It's like, I think if you have that characteristic, it allows you to be really good at hospitality. I know a lot of hospitality people, obviously. I've
Right.
dealt with a lot over the years. And it's not to say one is better than the other per se, but you can tell that the characteristics of the ones that don't really like people are really utilizing it as a business. And
Right.
there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's a business. But
Yep.
some people really like to open their doors and be the host or the hostess with the
Yep.
mostess, right?
Yeah. No, and that's the thing. I feel like I'm a pretty giving person, and I like making sure people are happy, and I hate confrontation, right? So I'm always
Yeah.
looking at ways to help please people and make sure that people are happy and having a good time. So
That's cool.
It's worked out well.
So who was first, Tristan or Elijah?
Tristan was first.
Tristan, okay.
He just turned 20 back in November,
Oh,
which
wow.
is crazy to think.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So, he's in college.
He was a football player?
He played football a little bit, but he's really a soccer player.
Okay.
So he's been in college playing soccer and,
Nice.
and having a good time.
Where's he going?
Right now he's in between. He was in Durango, Colorado, and now he's moving on to a different school. So he's in the transfer portal right now. I think he's going to take a semester to just chill out here, kind of catch back up on schooling. And
Okay.
yeah, and then we're going through the crazy recruiting life for our youngest, Elijah, who's a senior football player. We just found out he made second team All-State
Yeah,
for
he's- okay.
defensive backs. And
That's crazy.
yeah, so he's got a
How's
couple
mom
offers.
dealing with that?
She's on the verge of empty nester breakdown.
Yeah,
So-
but I mean, just having her son targeted for like football and
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
it's amazing because like I'm not a super athletic guy, and
Yeah.
my wife's really not super athletic either. So to have two athletes that are playing at the next level,
You're like,
is-
you both look at each other like, how the hell did
Yeah,
that happen? Right?
like, who did this come from?
Are you sure the dog didn't have that?
So
Wow.
yeah, it's a trip, and it's exciting too because as a parent, like the worst feeling is that last game,
Yeah.
right, in high school, and you're like, oh, are we going to be able to continue watching? And when they play at the next level, you're like, yes, I get to keep watching.
It could be a lot of traveling for you.
It could be. Luckily, they stream everything now, so
Yeah,
like
that's
we were
true.
able to watch Tristan play all over the place, and so.
But you guys are good at traveling.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
we
What
love
was the,
traveling.
Yeah. What was the last big trip that you went on? Was it-
We did Italy this past summer.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
That looked great.
Oh, it's amazing.
The boys had a blast. I'm sure.
Amazing. And wait, so Tristan's best friend's girlfriend is doing studying abroad this coming semester in Florence. So
Okay.
last night we were just reliving all of our memories from there. It was so awesome.
Is there truth to the food being easier to process?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I came back 7 pounds lighter. Now there's a ton of walking involved, right?
How many
But,
steps a day you think? 20?
it was like, we call them Disney days. So it was like 15, 20,000 steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Disney days. That's crazy.
Yeah. So,
Oh my gosh.
but the food was like, it was literally pizza and pasta every meal.
You just walked it off.
And I came back 7 pounds lighter. Like,
Yeah. Look at you. You got abs and eating pizza.
not quite abs.
The
but
Italian ab diet. That's funny.
Yeah.
And you did work at Bamboo Club?
I did. yeah.
Okay. Tell me about that. That was one of my favorite places back in the day.
Dude, it was awesome. It's funny. I was talking to someone the other day, and they're like, "You really just have been in Asian food your whole career,
Yeah.
basically." I'm like, "Yeah, pretty much." Yeah, Bamboo Club. I came about because I had a friend that was working there, and I went to go visit her and say hi.
Okay.
And I think he was like the regional manager at the time, just saw me because I had just gotten off work, so I was still in shirt, tie, whatever. And he's like, "I want an interview with him," because they were opening in Tempe.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
yeah, he got an interview with me, and I said, "Yeah, let's go." And it was truly like I went from Seasons, which wasn't really management. Now that I look back at it, right?
Yeah.
It was just, hey, you're gullible enough to work 60 hours a week and not pay you a lot. So
Yeah. Young and
here's the
dumb.
keys. Have fun, right? Bamboo Club's where I really learned how to start managing.
That was
right?
upstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was a cool place.
Yeah. That was an awesome place. A lot of fun. I don't think we really knew what we were in for on Mill Avenue.
Right.
So like that first New Year's Eve was just
People
absolutely
still don't know what they're
insane.
in for on Mill Avenue.
No.
I mean, I've owned a couple of bars on Mill with
Yeah.
Julian, and it's crazy. And even a pizza bar,
Yeah.
during football times would be nuts. People would be on the bar. We're like, dude, it's a pizza place.
Right.
Like, absolutely
Like,
crazy.
it doesn't matter.
So when you're there and you're learning stuff, what would you say are your early skill sets that you really honed in on and that you learned as far as your management style?
So management now and how I lead now is completely different than what it was then, right? So
Yeah.
the guy that hired me was a very, and I think this was kind of that old school style. If I'm not talking to you, that means you're doing stuff right.
Yeah.
And if I am talking to you, you're messing up.
Right.
Right. So that was kind of how I was brought up. But because I was the same age as everyone, right? So the whole team was college kids like me.
Yeah.
So it was very much more like pure leadership, right? And I'm not as scared to get my hands dirty and help out as much as possible. So I think that was the kind of leading by example is where I really leaned into that. And then as I got older, I started realizing like, okay, I can't do everything myself.
I got to
right?
put people in.
I got to start
100%.
delegating and teaching people how to do whatever I need them to do.
Well, I mean, not to mention, I think that's any career, even in my insurance career. It's like, okay, what are the things that I don't want to do? I really don't want to answer people's billing questions.
Right.
And it's not that I don't want to like talk to them or answer it. I'm a dummy, dude. I am good at talking to people and understanding and telling stories and looking at stories and analyzing all that. But to go in and have to log into a computer and, do just statistical things that for a type A person is really rough.
Right.
And so as you get older, like what you're saying, you will administer tasks to those that may enjoy the task a little bit more than you,
Right.
and it's better for the client.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think, as I get older, I start realizing you're learning what my strengths really are.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm good with people. I'm good at teaching and developing and coaching. But trying to figure out where your passions really are so that you can maximize your time.
Yeah.
Right. And drive the company forward has been like half of 2023, all of 2024 has been a lot of focusing on, all right, what should I be doing to drive the company forward?
How much does your wife work with you?
Very, very little.
Very little.
Yeah. She likes to say I'm 50% owner, but I don't do anything.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
she'll help us with the designs of the restaurant because she's interior designer by trade.
Mm-hmm.
She has her own interior design company, so she's doing that as her full-time gig. So it's mostly like, hey, I need new fabric for the booths. Can you order it for me? So
Yeah, she's a beautiful soul. Like when I run into her, just to see her smile and
Yeah.
her openness is great. You
Yeah.
guys have a really cool marriage.
And I would say that she's always been the outgoing one in our relationship, and I've learned so much from her.
Yeah.
And her cup isn't full until she gets to talk to as many people as possible during the day, right? And I'm typically the type that's just like, my cup's full already. I don't need to say yes to everything.
Yeah, but you enjoy it when you're comfortable. When you're in an environment
100%.
with those that you're comfortable with. And so, when you say your wife is, not really working in the business, I think you run a lot like I do. Like, Kim is an owner of the agency here and all this, and I love my wife. Most of our work is done at home, and that's what helps me become a better man, to be able to do the things, whether it's at home or here, and I would assume you're the same.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she is totally the yin to my yang.
Yeah, no, that's very cool. Okay, so after Bamboo, what happens?
So Bamboo, I went from being part of a publicly traded company to, getting folded back into private. And I said, this just isn't for me, right? Like, I don't know how much more I'm going to grow. So I actually went to Kona Grill.
Oh, yeah.
And at the time, Miriam worked as a cocktail server at Kona Grill in Old Town, right? So I get there, and then they tell her, well, if your husband's a manager, you can't be a server here. So she basically got fired at their Christmas party before I technically started. So
nice.
Yeah, it was great. But I went there, went through my training, and they moved me into the GM spot of the Scottsdale location.
Okay.
And it was, 2007 when this all happened.
Yeah.
So I get in there, and I think the biggest lesson learned from that, it was about a year stint, was if you're going to go somewhere, make sure that your culture fits their culture. Mm-hmm. And my culture just didn't fit. Right. It was I butted heads with the district manager. My style and how I work and what my scheduling needs were at the time as a young father.
Yeah.
Didn't fall into what they wanted as a GM.
Yeah.
Right. They wanted their GMs Monday through Friday and working books and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, but aren't I supposed to be on the floor, and shouldn't I be here Saturdays? Like, people from Chandler would come up and see me there on a Saturday or a Sunday. They'd be like, what are you doing here?
Right.
You're not supposed to be here. I'm like, this is like one of the busiest days. Why wouldn't I be here?
Yeah.
So, so that was rough, and I ended up getting let go. First time I'd ever been fired from a position. So it was eye-opening, right? And we had just had our second kid, Elijah. So it's like, the weight of the world came crashing down on me.
Right. I got mouths to feed.
Yeah. And, I spent a day drinking a lot.
Yeah.
And me and my buddy Jack and got right back into it, started sending out resumes, and got a call from Ling and Lou's.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it just worked out magically.
Yeah. I mean, to go from not having a job to getting a job and now owning the place that you got the job at.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So what was the whole, people listening that may be not owners or whatever, and they have these dreams and aspirations to own a restaurant or do something, what sort of slow roll advice can you give to them? What was your process?
So if you ask Miriam, I had always talked about owning a restaurant.
Yeah.
And when I started with Ling and Lou's, right, the original founder's vision was to just franchise.
Yeah.
He didn't want a lot of corporate stores. So we're working with the franchisees, and we're seeing them put up second mortgages, and some of them closing down, and I'm like, I can't do that to my family. Yeah. So I just kind of put that behind me. I'm like, I'm not a very I don't take a lot of risks, typically, right? I'm very risk adverse. So it was just a dream now, right? Just in the pack. So when the opportunity came, I actually was with Ling and Lou's for 10 years before I actually left.
Wow.
And I left because Randy, the original founder, was gearing up for retirement. He sold his other restaurants that he had in Hawaii, and it just didn't look like we were going to be growing Ling and Lou's. So I said, I need to re-energize. I need to go find my passion again. So I actually went, quit, which was the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah,
after 10 years, putting in my notice. I'm like, God, I care so much, and I've poured so much of my soul into this place. that it's like,
It's like a mirror. You see yourself in it.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so I left. I went to Sumo Maya as the GM there, and after a couple, perfect. After a couple months, Randy approached me. He's like, "Hey, can we go grab lunch?" I'm like, "Sure," like, whatever. And Miriam's like, "He's going to offer to sell you the company." I'm like, "No, no
Dude,
chance."
wives know everything.
Yeah,
Sort of guy.
I'm like, he just wants to check in and see how I'm doing. And sure enough, they bring it up, and I'm like, "Oh shit!"
Wow.
Can I cuss? Is that okay?
Oh, you fuck yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just like, "Oh shit!" Like, this is real.
Yeah.
Right. So it was. So then I had to go back to owner of Sumo Maya, and like we were literally going to have a conversation about where he saw the growth of Sumo Maya coming up and where I would fit in, and I had to tell him like, before we have this conversation,
Right.
I got this offer to be in your position. Right. And he was totally cool. He understood 100%. And, I think it was a little deflating, but it was one of those where he's like, you can't pass that opportunity up. You have to take it.
Yeah.
Right. So
This is your opportunity.
yeah.
Now. Yeah.
So it was cool. And
So it's exciting, and also I would assume a little bit of fear in there as well.
yeah. Again, I'm not like putting up, and Randy made it super easy for us, and it was
Cool.
a seller finance deal.
Nice.
So it was, if things hit the fan, he would just take it back over.
Yeah.
Right. So the risk was very, very low for us.
Right.
But the thought that he believed that I was the person to take it to the next level and
awesome.
continue the growth was probably the biggest nod of confidence I've ever gotten.
And that's all he wanted. He wanted to give back at the end of the day
Yeah.
the best way that he could.
100%.
And you knew when that offer was made, based on the way that you were able to run it, you could go in and turn things up a notch your way.
Yeah. And that few months at Sumo Maya really reignited all the creativity, all the passion, all the energy that was in my brain, right? That after 10 years, sometimes it just kind of falls off, right? So being able to take that energy and bring it back into the concept that I had worked for 10 years on
Yeah.
was awesome. And it really helped us propel and reimagine the brand and take it from where it was, which was kind of like this cheesy, kind of corny, almost like an Asian oregano's was kind of the goal before, to make it a little bit more upscale and have it be fun and just completely off the wall different.
Yeah, that's great. That's
Yeah.
great. How much of the menu have you changed, in the last years?
Maybe 15, 20%, like not much.
Yeah.
Really, the beverage program is probably what we've changed the most.
Right.
But when you have a really solid menu and you have dishes and, at the time, 10, 11 years of history,
Yeah,
it's hard to change it too much
Right.
without upsetting guests.
for sure.
Right. So we have a lot of the core items are still there. We maybe tweaked it, revamped them a little bit, replated them, got new smallwares, that kind of stuff. But otherwise it's been, we don't mess with the top 10% of sellers, right? Because it makes up 80% of our revenue.
Well, yeah, and that's a nice thing, is when you can articulate that and you can monetize a select amount of like great dishes, because it's like, why have to reinvent the wheel if you don't?
Yeah. Yep.
And then you have systems and processes and things, and if you lose a person here that's cooking or this and that, you can implement the processes to another person. So
Yeah.
it's got to be helpful.
Yeah.
What are some of the biggest things in the restaurant industry, or the biggest thing that really scares you the most?
In the restaurant industry,
Yeah.
becoming boring, I think, is the biggest thing, right? Like, in this day and age, you have to stay on top of trends and you have to stay ahead of the curve.
Right.
And trying to keep up with that tends to be very difficult. And I think with the growth of AI and people just, you can just enter stuff in and it'll just pop out dishes to you. And you're like, whoa,
Yeah,
okay,
sounds
right? So
crazy.
trying to stay on top of that. But I think probably the biggest fear is being stagnant.
Yeah.
Right. We're trying to gear up for growth. We're trying to get all of these systems in place, and if my passion falls off, or if I'm unable to share the vision with the team, and they just become complacent and standards fall, and we try to create exceptional experiences for everyone, and if we can't do that,
Yeah.
and that's my biggest fear. I hate disappointing people, right? Especially in the past couple of years where the dollar doesn't go as far as it used to.
Right.
Making sure that people feel that when they spend money with our restaurants, that it's worth it, and making them want to come back. And if we don't do that, that breaks my heart.
So do you feel that one of the best things that you've done is create something that's uniquely a little bit different, but also very commonly mainstream?
In terms of the Asian fusion?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because without naming names, and, unfortunately I had another client of mine that, same sort of genre, but all their locations are now out of business. And from, the talk around town, it was kind of one of these things where it was just so over the top different that, you can't get the bulk that you need in there to eat all the time,
Right. So funny enough, that's where Ling and Lou's came from.
Yeah.
Was, originally the first concept was Typhoon Taste of Asia. And Randy saw that if you have a group of 4 people and one of them is a steak and potatoes person,
Yeah.
you're not eating at an Asian restaurant.
Right.
So he's like, how do we meld that steak and potatoes with bold Asian flavors?
Yeah.
And that's where the Ling and Lou's came from. So Ling representing the Asian side, Louis representing that American side.
Okay.
So I think we've been able to balance the popular flavors, things like orange chicken and pad thai, things that everyone knows,
Yeah.
with bolder flavors. We're doing bao buns now, and we have a killer meatloaf on the menu that, if you're an Asian restaurant, people wouldn't think of, but
Right.
it's absolutely delicious. So it makes people feel comfortable enough
Yeah.
to enjoy. And after they eat with us a couple times, and if the servers are developing a rapport, they can push them out of their comfort zone a little bit.
I like that.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. And I've always told people, Ling and Lou's has always been it's like the beginner foodies place.
Yeah.
Right? You're not, if you're the type that loves traditional Thai or Vietnamese cuisine, our flavors aren't probably going to be exactly what you're looking for. You might be a little bit disappointed, but if you're just getting into that kind of stuff, we're the perfect place for you.
Starter kit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's great.
Yeah.
So as far as you personally, what are some hobbies and what are some daily routines that you have to be able to do before you soak yourself, into work and give
Yeah.
yourself to everybody else?
I think and I've only started doing this in the past year or so, but I read a book called The 5 a.m. Club, and it's all about waking up at 5 a.m. and getting your routine in and taking care of yourself first.
Yeah.
So I wake up every morning, I take my dog for a walk, about 1.5 miles.
Same here.
Yeah, I do, I try to get another workout in.
Cool.
Even if it's as simple as just doing some push-ups,
Yeah.
right? Depending on how much time you have. Reading in the morning.
Yep.
So I try to read a business or self-improvement book in the morning,
Yeah.
and then at night before going to bed, read a fiction novel.
Okay.
I'm rereading The Shining right now. So
Oh, jeez. Before you go to bed?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good.
I figure I've seen it and read it already.
Yeah.
So
You're not scared.
And then journaling is huge, and just being able to reflect on either what happened the day before or look forward into the day and say, hey, these are the things that I'd really like to get done today. And it just kind of sets your mind, or puts you in the right mind frame
Yeah.
to blast through your day.
How long have you been journaling?
Probably 6 or 7 months.
Okay. Yeah, I've been journaling over close to 2 decades.
Oh, wow.
So I can literally go back to a journal 15 years ago on the date and look at what I was doing that day.
That's awesome.
And so if you keep doing that, it's a great thing to be able to, it's just self-growth. It's
Yeah.
like, whoa, and all the things you talk about, waking up early, walking the dog, moving your body, reading, journaling, all these things.
I'm energized. I'm ready to go. And I think the other thing that I've learned over the past, I'd say 3 or 4 months is listen to your body, because if you're having trouble getting yourself out of bed or motivating yourself, maybe you just need to take some time to relax.
Need some rest.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's one thing I've had to work on.
yeah, it's not easy, right? Because my mind keeps running,
Yeah.
right? But my body's like, no.
I know, right?
Don't move.
I have to take little lay downs during the course of the day just to, and then you can always do emails while you're laying down or
Right.
whatever you feel like you gotta get work done.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot. Future plans with Ling?
So Ling and Lou's were, I think I'd like to get a couple more locations open.
Okay.
Driving towards the big entertainment centers.
Yeah.
Gilbert's and over on the west side. Ling's Walk Shop is really the one that I'd like to grow because I think it's much more easy to operate, and that's why it was created, was to look at how can we franchise the brand, and even with the franchisees that we have for Ling and Lou's. Like, you have to have really, really good franchisees who know how to run restaurants,
Yeah.
right? Because it's such a complex menu. Everything's prepped in house. There's sushi involved. Like, it's pretty intense. When we did Ling's Walk Shop, we're like, how do we distill this down to make it super simple?
Right.
Right. So that's kind of our goal right now, is to look at how can we grow this, in where can we best do this. So again, it's all about getting the processes, the procedures, the systems all in place so that it is dummy proof.
I think a lot of restaurants are going that route. Pita Jungle just opened up a subsidiary of theirs actually tonight. My coworker Kristen's going after the Sombreros event, but I think it's called the A Feta or something like that. So
Okay.
it's like a smaller, like, go in and
Nice.
get your stuff. Yeah. So I love those. I love those quick and easy sorts of places.
Yeah. The one thing that we've learned with Walk Shop is, because when we opened it, it wasn't 100% counter service, right?
Yeah.
And we've since shifted it over, but because that hospitality piece is in my heart,
I know.
it's like, how do you execute it without losing that hospitality? So we have some really, really great people that, and we've developed some awesome regulars up there that keeps that hospitality spirit going.
I think Sauce has done a good job at that over the time.
Yeah, Sauce, I think Flower Child does a really good job. Every time I go in, like 5 different people touch my table.
Yep.
And I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure. That's cool. Okay, so we're going to do a rapid fire question, but before, I'm going to have you take a shot of Magic Mind.
All right.
This is my brain food.
Love it.
It's so good. All right, cheers.
Cheers.
New Year's.
It's yummy.
Yeah, it's pretty good, right?
It's far different than the other shots I've been doing over the holidays.
Yeah,
so.
I'm sure. I'm sure. So my dad got me these D-Lo shot glasses, and I was going to pour the Magic Mind in here, but I decided not to. It's easier to drink out of that. Okay, rapid fire.
Rapid fire.
Woo. Cheese or chips?
Cheese.
Boxers or briefs?
Can I say boxer briefs?
Sure. Or tighty whities. Baseball or football?
Football.
Soup or ice cream?
Probably soup.
Okay. What's your favorite soup?
Our long life chicken and rice soup.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's good. It's really good. Hike or bike?
Hike.
Pearl Jam or Nirvana?
Ooh. I think Pearl Jam.
Yeah, they're still at it, too.
Yeah.
Online banking or in person?
Online.
Travel or stay at home?
Travel.
Pizza or hamburgers?
Pizza.
WWF or UFC?
WWE. I'm actually going tomorrow night.
I had no idea. Dude, that's awesome. Yes. My wife gave me these food trivia things. Let's see. I won't hold you to any of this. If you have majoricophobia, what are you afraid of? Majoricophobia. What are you afraid of?
The way you said it the first time, I'm like, Hash Kitchen? No.
That's funny. It's a real simple answer. I wouldn't even think of it.
Magicophobia?
Yeah.
I can't even.
Fear of cooking.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. I guess I should have guessed, huh?
Could have.
Food trivia.
Okay, what is the first fast food chain in China?
Oh. No way, it's McDonald's. Is it McDonald's?
Nope.
I have no idea.
KFC.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, according to food trivia.
Yeah.
So
I believe
you're
that.
my first ever food trivia. See?
And I failed miserably.
You did great. So, all right, cool. So, if you, whatever you want people to know about Ling and Lou's, as far as like what's going on this year, favorite menu item, where they can find you, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so you can find us on lingandlouis.com or lingswalkshop.com. We actually have a lot of fun stuff coming up this year. Every year, our biggest event is the Lunar New Year. So we're going to be kicking that off on January 28th, I believe.
Oh, cool.
Wednesday. And we're going to have lion dancers. We're going to have a whole special menu. 2 weeks of just great time, great food, and
Yeah,
and lots of good luck and fortune.
I'll
Yeah.
promote that on my website. We'll have all the links and everything in show notes or whatever. But,
Awesome.
Yeah, dude, this was fun. I appreciate you coming.
I appreciate
the
you
day
having me.
after New Year's Day and
Yeah.
having a conversation. Are you guys hustling and bustling right now? Is it pretty good?
We're busy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a good holiday season, and the summer was a little slower.
Yeah.
Than I think we've been used to, but
Everybody's had, yeah.
that's what it is, and so
Time to ramp up for the Open
we're
and
ready.
everything else.
Yeah, we're ready.
Well, congratulations and everything.
Thank you
and
so much.
I appreciate your friendship and you coming on today. So
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Please subscribe, like, share, all those amazing, fun things. And until next time, peace out.